Luigi's Mansion 2 has two pivotal structural differences in comparison to the first game. Luigi's Mansion 1 took place in one single mansion. It was divided into areas, which served as little breaks in the gameplay. What was kinda neat though is while there were defined blocks of the game, you had plenty of reasons to go back to the other areas in the mansion. There were often keys that took you back to the previously locked rooms, and there were just charming moments that helped tie the mansion together. For instance, after Boolossus, there was a little blackout in the game where you had to go to Area 1 to defeat Uncle Grimly, so you could go down to the break room and turn on the lights. There were the boos in Area 1 you could go back to after you set them free in Area 2. Then Easter eggs like watering the plants in between areas. It was all pretty neat and gave the game a very cohesive and tight feeling. So Luigi's Mansion 2, it doesn't do any of that. Instead, this game is split between 5 mansions. To take this a step further, each of those mansions are now split up between different acts, similar to Miyamoto's soap opera dramas or whatever nonsense he was watching at the time. Most mansions have 6 missions, with the notable exception being the Hidden Mine, which has 4. Now, I don't instantly want to start this by saying because it's different, it's bad. I don't think that's particularly fair. However, we can agree at a very minimum, it's a drastic change from the previous game. Whether or not you like it, you could probably see why lots of fans weren't receptive to it. So we're gonna do a little experiment in terms of the video structure, because I think the best way I can describe to you the mission system of LM2 would be to take you mission by mission through the first mansion of the game. Close your eyes, it's about to get horrible. The first mansion of Luigi's Mansion 2 takes us to the Gloomy Manor. Was Boo Haunted House taken or what? Sorry, everyone calls me a Scott clone and not an ABGN clone, so I'm trying to shift the narrative a little bit there, you know. The first of the missions here sends Luigi inside to get the Poltergust 5000 that EGAD left in the garage. Early on, the game establishes 2 key concepts. One is that you can look through the little peepholes throughout the world to get a little preview of what's coming up next. I kind of like these. I mean, they're cute. These are obviously developed for the 3DS and its gyro, and don't make as much sense on the Switch. The second concept we get introduced to is not as charming. It's the fact that EGAD calls you more often than the IRS calls me after I allegedly failed to pay my taxes for 10 years. Luigi then navigates the mansion and finds a missing Binky for his Poltergust. This lets him fight ghosts, light up buttons throughout the world that unlocks doors, and a bunch of other nonsense. After I guess what EGAD decides is enough gameplay for the player, you get transported back to the lab. In the next mission, we have to walk between multiple rooms to the room we were just in a few minutes ago, in between all the button mashing and nonsense. We then go back to a room we were in at the start of the mission to grab the key and go back to the foyer. Honestly, this mission is pretty fun and feels like classic Luigi's Mansion, but hold your horses, don't ride them into the sunset yet. The third mission is again pretty good. You explore rooms, you fight off ghosts, and face off against the first mini-boss. However, I want to note by the time you get to the 4th mission, you fight the ghosts multiple times in the foyer room. It eventually gets super repetitive, and ghosts are always spawned when you fall down this goddamn suitcase. It's kind of funny the first time around, but it's a joke that wears its welcome quicker than you can blink. Compare this to Luigi's Mansion 1 for a second. A room is dark once, with the exception of the blackout, but once it's done, that room is sort of considered a safe zone for Luigi, one that maybe you could go back and strategize in, or just know that you're not gonna get murdered. By this point in the mansion, you're sort of done visiting all that many new locations in the Gloomy Manor. You're revisiting a lot of rooms and have to often take the same paths you already taken just to get to a room you specifically need to get to. And unfortunately, this is a very, very common theme throughout the game's 5 mansions.